Hey guys, another weekly wrap up here. As always, this will be everything that I've read in the past week since the last time I did this, and everything that I plan to read in the upcoming days. And this past week, I did end up finishing 4 things. I finished 2 physical books and 2 audiobooks. Probably would have finished more audiobooks, but I ended up having, since the last time I posted one of these, I had a snow day and I had another snow day. So I had 2 snow days where I didn't have to go to work, so I probably would have finished more audiobooks, but I did allow me to push through quite a bit of pages physically on those days. So yeah, finished 4 things. That means 4 more tally marks on this thing back here. That one's a little bit cramped in there, but there we go. I'm at 26 now, so that's awesome. That actually, it does put me ahead by 1 book on my Goodreads goal. I would have liked to have been a little bit more ahead, but I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I'm at the very least on track, so... before I continue, I just wanted to give a quick shout out and give a quick thanks to our supporters over on Patreon. Giselle and I have a Patreon for all of our different channels that we run, and those names scrolling below are those who have pledged at the producer level. These are our Patreon producers, and I very much appreciate their contributions. If you enjoy what I do here, enjoy the vlog. If you enjoy Giselle and I in general, and if you want more of us, we both have lots of different projects we plan on hoping to do this year. There's a bunch of different types of videos that I want to start making on this channel. Then that's a way to help support that. And of course, another way to do that is to just watch, which is always very, very much appreciated. So the first physical book that I finished this past week is The Devil Crept In by Anya Alborn. This is like a horror novel, kind of like horror mystery-ish, horror mystery thriller. And I actually read this mostly in one sitting, mostly in one day, on one of the snow days. And that's not necessarily to say because it was super enjoyable or anything. It is just a pretty fast read. I didn't like this one all that much, but I do see there being an audience there for it. So I'll be doing a full review of this so you can kind of gauge maybe whether or not it sounds like something you'd be interested in. It's basically about this kid. This kid is kind of a dick. He ends up disappearing all of a sudden, and search parties are made for him, and people are worried about him, sort of, but at the same time they're kind of pretending to go out there and look for him when they're really not that into it. Like, none of the adults seem to be that into the idea of finding him. They all just kind of believe that he's just gone forever, and they just think that's the way it is, and that's just how it's going to be. But this kid, his name is Jude, and his cousin Stevie, who is our main character, he believes his cousin is still out there. He knows his cousin better than anyone, and he wants to go out and find his cousin. And doesn't believe anyone else is doing enough for his cousin. And this Stevie kid, he's sort of cowardly, he's sort of twitchy. His personality really does come through in the writing. His very young personality comes through. He's like 10 years old or so. And that's definitely a strength of the book. It definitely captures this kid very well. But everyone else is kind of like cartoonishly evil and mean towards him. Like, his mom is pretty nice, but she doesn't ever listen to him, doesn't really pay attention to the things that he says to her, or the things that he wants or feels, or the things that he thinks and his opinions. And his stepfather is just awful to him. He's like the worst person ever. No one in the town cares about him or this Jude kid. And it's kind of comical how ridiculous everyone is. And then there's like some supernatural elements twisted in with this like monster that's kind of like possibly in the woods. Stevie, when he was with Jude, and now he kind of experiences seeing this creature, like the shadow of this creature lurking near this house near the woods. And so there's this whole thing with that. And yeah, it's a bit cliche in some ways, but it is a fast read. It's not bad or anything. It's definitely entertaining. I'll give it that for sure. And if you do like horror novels like that, I definitely think you would enjoy this. And yeah, I've never read anything by this author before. I think I would give more of her stuff a chance later on if I came across it, if she published anything else that sounded interesting to me. This one was not necessarily my favorite thing, but I will do a full review of it very soon and talk about it more and my different issues with it and stuff like that. And I also finished this. This is 12 Kings and Shurikai by Bradley P. Beaulier. A lot of people on BookTube have been reading these, or have read the first one already, and now reading the second one. And I've just started the second one, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a second. But this one is really good. It takes place in this desert city. A city called Shurikai is ruled over by these very powerful, tyrannical, immortal kings, and they just kind of have control over everything. They forbid people to go out on these certain holy nights. And they have this group of elite warriors, these women named the Blood Maidens. And the main character, Shada, she lives in this desert city and kind of runs. She does this thing called shading, which is just like kind of like smuggling and transporting different things from one person to another under this kind of like crime boss kind of guy. He like runs this thing called the pits, and she fights in the pits. It's kind of like MMA fighting, but a little bit more brutal. And they can use some sorts of weapons. It's not always a to the death kind of thing either, but it is definitely a brutal thing that she fights in. She fights in it as the White Wolf of Shirakai, so she's anonymous when she does it. But she fights in these pits that are run by this guy. She does shading for him, and one night she decides to go out on this holy night that she's not supposed to be out on, and ends up seeing a few things that kind of change her perception and her world from then on. She has a very big vendetta against the kings. They have something to do with her mother's death, and we get to see a bit of her backstory involving her mother and her best friend Emre as they kind of grow up together in this desert city, and it is really, honestly fantastic. I really enjoyed this quite a bit. It does take a little while to get into, quite a while to get into, but the world building is very strong. The learning curve is very high. So it takes a little bit to get into, and I think I only was really into it about halfway through, but after I got into it, I started to love it, and by the end, I was super into it, and I couldn't wait to pick up the next one. It's intense, it has a lot of action, and really good characters. The main character, Shada, is awesome. Really enjoy her as a character a lot, and I'm definitely going to be talking about this more very soon in a full review. I'm going to be doing like a back-to-back review of this one and the second one after I finish the second one. And then the two audiobooks that I finished were two from the same series, Deadbeat and Proven Guilty, both by Jim Butcher, part of the Dresden Files series, and I really liked these a lot. I've been really, really enjoying the Dresden Files. It just keeps getting better and better, honestly, and just getting to know Harry Dresden more and more as it goes on, seeing all the different characters that keep getting added on to his story, all the different situations that keep getting added on to his story, all the different adversaries that keep getting added on are just fantastic. Like, if you get through the first couple books, and then the third book and the fourth book really kick things off in a huge way, and then, it just keeps getting better and better from there. And in the first one of these two, Deadbeat, it's just so much cool stuff happens, so much important stuff happens. It seems like a big turning point in a lot of stuff that was happening, and just kind of pushed things even further in a cool direction. And I can't really talk about things specifically, because I don't want to ruin anything or spoil anything, but Deadbeat was great, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's easily my favorite of the series so far. And then Proven Guilty, the one after that, was also really fantastic, and I also really enjoyed that one quite a bit. Also, some huge things happening in that one. One huge thing specifically that I'm assuming will just have a huge effect on the rest of the series. I'll get to one of the books that I'm currently reading right now. Just happens to be the next book in this, because I couldn't stop myself from going on to the next one. I'll talk more about it in a second, but I can easily see how the stuff in Proven Guilty and Deadbeat have already affected things, and I can't wait to see where the series goes. If you like the idea of a wizard detective figuring things out and solving murders and crimes happening in Chicago, while simultaneously dealing with lots of things happening in the background of all the magical beings that could possibly exist in the world. If you just think that sounds interesting and think that sounds like fun, it really is. It's a lot of fun. It's got elements of mystery and fantasy and urban fantasy and just all these great different things about it. And Harry Dresden is one of my favorite characters. Despite his flaws as a person, I just adore him and how far he's come and where he seems to be going as a character. Those are great, and I love them. That's everything I finished, and what I'm currently reading, like I said, is the second book to 12 Kings in Shirakai. The series is called the Song of Shattered Sands, and this is With Blood Upon the Sand. And this continuation has already been a lot of fun. The first book started off with a big bang, and I'm already getting really into this one. I feel super into this world already. I was really glad to already have this one to just dive right into, because I felt super immersed into Shirakai and all the things that come along with that world, and the characters especially. Like I said, I was really having fun with it, so I'm glad to be continuing on with it, and I'm going to be doing a review of both of these back to back, and we'll see where it goes. This one was just released in hardcover on the 7th of February, so just last Tuesday. So I'm really looking forward to finishing this. I'm hoping to finish it sort of quickly, maybe within the next couple days. It's a thick one. It's almost 700 pages long, I think. And I'm hoping to finish it sort of quickly because, like I said, I'm already into the world and I'm super engrossed into it already. And then after that, I want to read these next two, which are a little bit shorter, on the shorter side at least. Cold Counsel by Chris Sharp. This is a Tor.com release that is coming out on the 21st. And I would love to finish it and review it around the time that it comes out. This one is about a troll named Slud, who, with the help of an old witch, is looking to take revenge on the elves who have kind of committed genocide against the trolls. And Slud is like either the last or one of the last, but it sounds fun. Like, it doesn't look that short. Like, it looks kind of thick. It's like over 300 pages. It's pretty short, but also the pages, everything that's on the pages, there's like hardly any words on the pages. So I'm hoping to get through this one sort of quickly. After that, I'm also going to try to read by the end of the week, Lincoln in the Bardo by George Saunders. This one is also pretty short, and like the stuff inside of it is like that a lot of the time. So this one I really don't know that much about plot-wise or even that much about the author. I've heard about the author a lot. I've heard about this book specifically a lot. It's his first ever novel, but he's written a lot before this that aren't novels. And so I'm looking forward to this, but I'm also like not sure what I'm going to feel about it. I have no idea what it even is. I just heard lots of people talk about it. I've seen it on a lot of like most anticipated lists all around BookTube from a lot of different people, a very wide variety of people, which has been interesting. So we'll see what I feel about it. It comes out yesterday. It came out on the 14th, so it's already out, and I'm hoping to read it and review it. So we'll see what I think of it. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a weekly wrap-up without this in it. This has been on my list for the past several weeks, which kind of makes me feel bad, but at the same time, I've been really focusing on the arcs, like I've said. In the past, I've been really focusing on arcs, so this is kind of fallen in the background. I only read a few pages of this every day. I still have a couple hundred pages left in this. Not because I'm not enjoying it. This is the second book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen. It is not because I'm not enjoying it. I really like his writing. It's just that it's pretty dense and thick, and sometimes I don't feel like reading it for long periods of time, so I tend to only read it for short periods of time and then put it down and start reading something else from like an arc or something. So I will get through this. I will finish it soon, I promise, and then I'll start with a third one probably right after that, maybe. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, I am enjoying it, but it's just taking me a while to get through, which feels slightly embarrassing that I haven't finished it yet, but it's also that I'm trying to read it at the same time as reading other stuff, which I don't usually do very well at. I need to not do that and just take a little bit of time to focus on it one of these days, which I will try to do soon. Anyway, so after that, I'm going to also try to finish a few audiobooks. I'm going to finish White Knight, which is the audiobook that I'm currently listening to. This is another Dresden Files book, and like I said, I could not stop listening to this. I meant to, after Proven Guilty, I meant to move on with something else, with a different book, with a different author, something else. But then after Proven Guilty was over, I was like, I really want to listen to the next one now. So I started it, and I'm really, really liking it. I'm more than halfway through. I'm definitely going to finish it tomorrow. And after I finish that, I would love to start and probably finish pretty quickly. It's only like an 8-hour long audiobook. It's called Hounded by Kevin Hearn. This is the first book in the Iron Druid series. I don't know too much about this. I just know it's been recommended to me a lot by a lot of different people. Like, it's my brother-in-law's. It's one of his favorite series, and he had the whole series on Audible, so I got it from him. And yeah, so I'm going to give it a shot and see what I think. I'm also going to continue on with the Pillars of Reality series by Jack Campbell. I've already read the first two books. I did a full review of the first book, which was good, and I'm going to try to finish this series soon, because there's a sequel series that I think the first book either just came out or it's about to come out. But this one, the third one, is called The Assassins of Altus, or Altus, something like that. But it's about the mages and the mechanics. This series has a mage guild and a mechanic guild. The mechanics are like super technological, sort of. They're like industrial revolution technology, like steampunk technology, that kind of thing. And there's magic. There's mages who have a mage guild and they do magic, and both of them hate each other a lot. But then we meet in the first book a mage and a mechanic who start to become friends and get along, which is a bit cheesy, but also a lot of fun. And I really, really enjoy the world that's been built up in the series. Each book so far, the first two have been fun and really enjoyable, and the second book left off in a really cool place, and I'm really excited to see where the third book takes it, because I actually already have the third, fourth, and fifth books on Audible, I believe, and then I'll have the sixth book, and then I can move on to the sequel series. The two main characters I quite enjoy a lot. It's fun seeing their dynamic because they're raised very differently, but also have sort of similar situations where their guilds are like more similar than they would like to admit and believe. But anyway, so they're fun. If you enjoy steampunk mixed with like magic, then you may enjoy the series. It kind of does veer on the YA side of things. I feel like it's kind of romance heavy, a little bit more than I thought it would be, and maybe in a sort of ways, like I said, it's cheesy, but at the same time I also very much enjoy the way the series is being done. Anyway, I think that's it for today. That's everything I wanted to talk to you about. If you have read any of the stuff, I would love to hear your opinions on any of it. Definitely share any of your thoughts. If you've read any of these books, if you started any of these series, and if you're interested in any of the reviews that I've talked about, I'd love to hear about that. I have plenty of reviews coming out soon. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later with more.